What's up? And welcome back to Nowstalgia Pod, your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture. My name is Pat Sheehan. I'm here with my co-host Dave. Dave, what's going on, man?
Yo,
How's
dog.
your weekend?
It was going well until a sporting event didn't go my way. But overall, I cannot complain because it's Oscar day now, and I'm very happy with the results.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. So we're going to be touching on some news, playing a little bit of catch up because we haven't really been talking news at all in the last couple weeks. We're going to be talking Oscar noms, American Crime Story, the assassination of Gianni Versace, and Call Me By Your Name, a little bit more of an in-depth discussion, follow up to our best of list, which you can find on YouTube. SoundCloud.com/nostalgiapod has the links to everything you need. Why don't we start, though, with Mr. Kanye West.
Hey,
Daddy of three now.
the homie.
Yeah, honestly. So I came home yesterday and Julianne was watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Like you do.
And I got transfixed because Kanye was in the episode, and I couldn't like take my eyes off because I just wanted to see what Kanye was doing the whole time.
Yeah, dude, I would be the same way actually because he's not on the show that much, right?
No, he's on every I don't know, 10th episode. It seems like, according to Julianne. I've watched the episodes that when she's here watching it, but I don't seek it out.
Interesting.
It sucks you in though. It's kind of interesting, how it's so mindless, and you're just kind of and care about these people sometimes.
It's been on TV since like 2007, right?
Yeah,
it's one of the most successful reality shows of all time. Like obviously, it knows what it does right. You know,
Kris Jenner, man, she's evil genius.
Yeah, for sure.
But Kanye's new baby, the name is Chicago. What do you think?
Well, considering
yeah. Hell yeah, I love that baby name.
Considering a million white girls are named Brooklyn, I don't see how anyone can have a problem with this.
Right? Brooklyn Decker probably was the most famous Brooklyn. But
Brooklyn Prince, the girl in the Florida Project.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
I forgot about her. I haven't seen that yet. I should make a point to see that.
Yeah.
Shout out Sean McKenna said he's going to get me some of those Oscar movies that are out of the theaters on the flash drive. So
them screeners.
The homie. Yeah, Chicago almost seems predictable in hindsight.
Yeah. Like it was so easy.
Yeah. But Kim looks great. One day after birth, looks awesome.
No doubt.
That surrogate. Shout out her.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. Why don't we jump into some real news, though, some industry news, because I don't want to talk about Kanye again until we have some music to talk about. Amazon, Netflix, and MoviePass, all with some making headlines recently. Let's start with MoviePass, I think. So you've been using and abusing MoviePass. I mean, getting more than your money's worth. You've seen how many movies with it now? Maybe 15, I feel like.
Oh, it's probably over 20 now. I've had it since November. And yeah, I mean, I saw the whole Oscar field on MoviePass.
Yeah.
As well as Thor, Justice League, Star Wars twice, Jumanji, Greatest Showman, Pitch Perfect. Yeah, I saw a lot of movies on MoviePass. Hostels.
Using and abusing it. I think I've seen probably close to 10 now with MoviePass. So also getting my money's worth. But we had this discussion when it first came out. How are they going to be able to sustain this? It seems like they've unveiled their next step in their marketing plan, which is to grab their own projects with MoviePass Ventures.
Right.
Going to be acquiring movies, which I think will allow them to market these movies to their viewers and hopefully help them turn a profit off those. What are your thoughts on this move for MoviePass?
So I think it's absolutely genius because, I mean, so this all came out around Sundance. Sundance is going on right now. We'll probably talk about Sundance movies maybe next week. But MoviePass was at Sundance, and this is where they, dropped this bomb. And so the industry has grown much more receptive to MoviePass. Even AMC, the biggest theater chain in the country, has already softened their stance. They're basically like, we don't know how they make money, but they're not as anti-MoviePass as they were back in August when the big price drop happened. And the reason why everyone's like, these guys aren't going away, is because of this MoviePass Ventures idea, where they'll seek to acquire smaller movies, you know, not event movies, not $100 million movies, but smaller movies with smaller budgets that often offers return, right? I mean, look at the Oscar movies. The critics tell you how great they are. They don't always put people in the seats. And if MoviePass can guarantee maybe 2% of that opening weekend, you know, based off the box office, they can guarantee that opening weekend bottom line to the you know, the other distributor, you know, the studio who made said movie. You know, everyone's gonna, you know, get down. I mean, they essentially be like IMAX, because IMAX can guarantee people you know, a certain percentage of movies because obviously the expensive ticket. But MoviePass's strategy, of course, would be simply to just market the shit out of whatever movie they acquire to everyone who has MoviePass, ideally leading many people to go see it, because again, the only thing that's stopping them is time. So I think it's really cool, and MoviePass is, you know, they're a disruptor, to use a overused word. You know, it's fascinating.
A disruptor, but in a really good way. You know, I think we had talked about how movies were something that, or at least I know I had talked about how movies were something that were so difficult to go to in the past. You know, they're expensive, they take time. You got to drive to the theater, sit down. You can't really get food there unless you want to drop like the same price as the ticket you got to just to get snacks. This really cuts down not only the cost, but just the convenience of it. I mean, you don't mind going because you're like, okay, I can go and take 2 hours, 3 hours out of my day to see a movie I want to see, because I'm not paying $15 for it. And if I don't like it, then I'm like, oh, this sucks. Because you can go see 10 movies in 10 days and get your money's worth. And if you like 7 of them, that's really good. Even if you like 3 of them, you got your tickets worth. Also, this just makes so much sense from like the technological perspective, because it's not really going to cost them that much to advertise. Like,
no.
You know, like they probably want to hire creatives to come up with the advertisements and like technological people to support their platform and how they're doing the advertising. But other than that, it's just going to be all through their app that's already created. So great move by them. A company I'm not sure if this is a great move for, Amazon. They are shifting their TV and their movie strategy to try to get the next big thing. So the headline at the end of last year was Amazon is trying to get the next Game of Thrones, and they did that by basically acquiring the original Game of Thrones. By getting Lord of the Rings to make a TV series. Now they're moving away from indie movies, which what I saw from most of the articles I read is $5 million or less for a budget, and they're trying to acquire movies that have a $50 million budget or more. Right. They're trying to get the next big blockbuster and not as many small movies. I don't know how I feel about this move. I want to hear your take first, because I don't know if I am on board with this.
Yeah, well, they're not really seeking out the blockbuster so much as like that middle movie we always talk about going away, you know, because, you know, big movie, 100 million and up, right?
Right, 100 million, right.
You know, small movie, little movie, 10 and under. So the middle is, you know, obviously there's a huge range there, but, you know, around 50 is what they're mentioning. And, you know, Manchester by the Sea and The Big Sick, two the most successful indies Amazon has acquired recently, both cost under 10. Obviously, they purchased the movie after Sundance, but then, you know, the budget itself of the movie wasn't that expensive. So obviously very easy to make it profitable. But and then The Lost City of Z is actually kind of in the middle. That costs $30 million. But to target, like, you know, like a Baby Driver-esque range, you know, 50 is actually really interesting, because like I said, that range has been going away, where everything is cheap as shit, you know, like a Blumhouse, you know, picture or easy to make money off of, or an event movie that sells itself, you know. So the fact that we have you know, a big player like Amazon Studios actively seeking out that middle ground, I think bodes well for creatives, because there's plenty of people trying to make those projects, but they haven't been doing the best, you know, at the box office. I mean, Logan Lucky comes to mind just last August. So I now, they're saying they're not totally abandoning the indie space. It's just they're basically branching out in terms of the movies they you know, buy. So it's tough to really project how much this will change, but I think, you know, pie in the sky, this does help the middle movie, which is great for the industry.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think about a movie like Lost City of Z, and I do want to see those type of movies continuing to be made, and just people given those type of projects. And I think it's been swayed recently because I feel like we've had a lot of really young and upcoming directors take off really quickly. Like Ryan Coogler comes to mind.
Yep.
And there not as many directors are going to have that sort of leap where they go from making small budget movies to making huge movies that everybody's, going to see and going to get behind. So having these middle ones is so essential just for creatives to be able to take these steps and work up to these bigger projects. It's just, I almost feel like the way that the movie industry has been going, with everything being either really big or really small, has almost like conditioned me to want to have those sort of films. And I can't even imagine a middle ground that I want to see at this moment. But it's the type of thing where when it comes out and it catches on Amazon and everybody's like, oh, you got to check this out, I'll probably enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, no, again, it'll be interesting to see, how it pans out, but it's, important news.
I saw on my drive home after I got out of the car, I checked Twitter immediately because I'm addicted, I think. And I checked our Twitter, Nowstalgia Pod, check it out. And you were tweeting about Netflix getting more comedy on their platform. How's Netflix doing? We're talking about Amazon, talking about MoviePass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. So I forget the exact figure, but earnings report for quarter 4, Amazon is not Amazon. Netflix has exceeded subscriber growth to the nobody. They're over 100 million subscribers globally. Mm-hmm. Their earnings were up. The gains on the shares were more than expected.
Right.
See, for Netflix, because all of their money on just original content, and the fact that it's panning out like that is great to see, because we're huge proponents of what Netflix does. But the comedy angle, which that news just dropped yesterday, that's actually very interesting. Everyone knows they basically cornered the market on stand-up comedies by just throwing $20 million at every famous comedian: Seinfeld, Chappelle, Chris Rock's, who still haven't come out, etc. Right? But now they're basically condensing the half-hour special, which is industry standard on Comedy Central and whatnot, and now they're going to do 15-minute specials for much lower profile comedians. Obviously, these are not comedians that are going to get the big bag from Netflix, but the fact that they're getting the small comedians now to just flock to their platform with a new idea like this,
it's so fucking smart.
I know.
It's low risk for them and such high reward if like one of these comics catches on and takes off, or even like if like 2 of them become like medium range after this, because they're gonna sign on with Netflix, do their next special, which everyone's gonna want to see. And it's so fucking smart. That company is just head and shoulders above everybody else right now. A show that is not on Amazon, Netflix, MoviePass, but on FX. And I want to touch on season 1 because we didn't really talk too much about it when it came out. I think neither one of us watched it at the time. American Crime Story.
I just watched it.
Yeah, Dave. So give me your hot takes about American Crime Story. I think I talked about it on our year end for 2017 or 20.
Yeah, right. It's it came out with summer 2016, Emmys a year ago.
I think it's still winning Emmy Awards, actually.
Or Golden Globes, right? The weird calendar. It's like Big Little Lies, it's always there.
It's never gonna go away.
No, so it's very well done. Excellent cast. Everyone knows this. Sterling K. Brown, Sarah Paulson, and Courtney B. Vance, of course. All
telling the O.J. Simpson story.
Yeah, well-deserved Emmys about the most public trial of all time, and really gets into stuff you didn't think you knew. Really well done, and the cast is a deep bench there. But just watching it after knowing everything that's happened with the show, I'm like, I just can't help but think that the show is just really overrated. And that's not saying it's bad at all, but the show is just overrated. Like every big actor was nominated for that. They nominated Cuba Gooding Jr., John Travolta, and fucking Schwimmer. Like
that's excessive.
Yeah. And because it's the limited series / TV movie category, it's not as bad. But I don't know. I remember because this resulted in Fargo season 2 getting shut out, and I'm like, as a season of TV, Fargo season 2 is so much better, and it's just because Peele vs. OJ was just so inherently watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Digest, like it's a Ryan Murphy joint to a T. Like I get it, but yeah, I was just like, I wish we could have slowed our roll on this, in 2016. But yeah, again, really good. But that's my thoughts on it.
It's funny because they went for the big names for a lot of it, although Sarah Paulson did, I think, win a couple of awards off it. But yeah, Paulson, Courtney B. Vance, and Sterling K. Brown are the three that I come away from that being blown away by. Everybody else is just kind of big name, fun to watch. Taking a story like that and teaming it up with such a star-studded cast is gonna draw attention, especially as long as it doesn't bomb. And it didn't. It was good. I don't know if it goes down as like such an amazing TV show that we'll be talking about, for years to come. But it was a fun show. Fargo season 2 definitely did get robbed, but American Crime Story season 2, the assassination of Gianni Versace. I don't know why I went like Asian on that accent. That was just, I was trying to do Italian, but that was just horrible.
That's okay.
Ryan Murphy back directing. Edgar Ramirez, Darren Criss, Ricky Martin, Penelope Cruz headlining the cast.
Right.
Episode 1 dropped this past Wednesday. What did you think?
Yeah, so I liked it. It's I think the most obvious point is that it's very different from People vs. OJ, despite the American Crime Story anthology banner in there. It's a different show. It's and reading advanced reviews that go into future episodes. Apparently it's a very different vibe to the season. But I liked it. I mean, they get to the assassination right away. There's a lot of Cunanan, the guy who makes Dude. And the season is not about, the criminal trial proceedings the way People vs. OJ was. It's actually going to follow all the other low profile murders that Cunanan committed leading up to when he killed Versace. So I think that's a cool way to go about it. And we're subbing out the police misconduct and racism angle for AIDS and homophobia in the 90s, so it's still in terms of what American Crime Story does, but the cast is much less high profile, and remains to be seen how this will keep audiences attention. If it it just has to be great writing, we'll see. The guy who wrote London Spy, Tom Rob Smith, is a screenwriter. So we'll see how that goes. But it doesn't have the easily marketable ensemble the way OJ did.
Yeah, and I think that actually works in its benefit. Darren Criss, I mean, he's been on Glee, I think probably other TV shows that I'm just not aware of. But he's phenomenal. I could not I came away from that show being blown away by his performance as Cunanan. He obviously has the most to do as well right now. It'll be interesting. I didn't really know much about this story to begin with, which I also think helps it out. You're not following the most famous car chase ever, the most famous trial ever, the most famous murder ever. You're following something that is well known. He killed a tycoon mogul as well, or something like that in Chicago. But
right.
And that, I think Versace is by far his most high profile murder. I'm interested to see Ricky Martin and what he has to do, because he was the one that I couldn't Penelope Cruz, obviously the most high pro. But when I saw Ricky Martin and him just wailing in the street, I was like, oh, come on, Ricky. He could be the one that I think pulls me out of the show the most.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for the season. Oh my God. The juice. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say. It's early. Reviews are really good. Everybody's saying the show is gonna make waves. It's interesting too, because they were planning to do this as season 3 originally, which we talked about in the pod before. It'll be interesting to see if this propels them further along towards actually having a Katrina story, which I'm still skeptical if they'll ever get off the ground. But if this is as good as people say it's going to be, I think it'd be a great first step or second step.
Right. Yeah. And the key to remember, which is a lot of people probably don't even realize, is OJ and Versace. They're both adapted off books, and there is no text really to adapt for Katrina. And it's a text that's adaptable for the screen. So that's the major hang up there. But we will see. I'm excited to keep watching the show. It's going to be good.
Are you watching anything else right now?
So I'm not watching anything else yet, but there is some notable stuff coming out. We have The Alienist on was it TNT with Daniel Bruhl, Luke Evans, and Dakota Fanning, which is based off early '90s.
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, no. So back, like her younger sister Elle Fanning's been in every movie, and Dakota's just been sitting on the sidelines, letting that happen. But so I'm gonna let I'm hearing vibes like The Nick, which is good. I'm hearing Mindhunter vibes, but I want to let this ride a little bit to see how the season goes, because I was like, big cast check, source material check. Look, reminds me of Taboo. Not check. So I need to be cautious with it.
One that I'm actually excited for is Mosaic on HBO.
Soderbergh.
Soderbergh. You got Sharon Stone and our man Garrett Hedlund.
Yeah, the GOAT.
So I'm pretty interested to see what they do with that. That's also a miniseries, but 6 parts, I think.
And that's actually interesting. It's on HBO, but the whole miniseries will be out by this week. It's each episode each day this week. The final 2 on Friday. So that's interesting for HBO's release. Usually they're a Sunday place, and there's an iOS app aspect to the show. Very interesting. But yeah, I want to check that out, especially since it's already right there.
What about your man J.K. Simmons from the great movie Drumline?
Drumline, right? Damien Chazelle's classic.
No, obviously,
Whiplash.
We all know, Whiplash, J.K. Simmons, but he's in a show right now, right?
Yeah, it's called Counterpart on Stars, which is basically John le Carré, I've heard, with the Berlin Wall is factored in. So also getting good reviews. He plays a dual role, but I've heard it's not a gimmick at all. It actually makes sense for the narrative.
It's like 2 different universes or timelines or something like that, right?
Right, exactly. And then also want to shout out, I believe this is coming out on Friday, Waco, which has our guy Michael Shannon, Melissa Benoist, and Taylor Kish, who needs a win. And this is about the story. I was not aware of this story, but it was about a long siege with this religious sect and the FBI in 1993. So I like the premise.
You weren't aware of that? What?
No, I did not know about this.
They actually just did a special on D recently about it. It's a fascinating story. And also shout out Taylor Kitsch and give him a follow. He's a beautiful man. What were you gonna say, Dave?
Oh, John Leguizamo also in the show.
Strong cast.
Yeah, it's on the Paramount Network, which is the new name for Spike.
Which also funny meltdown from Spike Twitter when they were going to Paramount.
Yeah,
the hell was that?
Pretty funny.
Speaking of a strong cast, how about Call Me by Your Name, dude?
Gang, fucking gang, dog. Love that show. Love that movie.
So I've seen probably about 2/3, maybe close to 2/3 of the Oscar nominated movies for this season. I've had different reactions leaving a lot of them. This one, I think I had the most thoughtful time leaving the theater. I kind of left in a bit of a daze, just really lost my own thoughts. I had to take a second before I started driving just to refocus, take a deep breath after leaving. It was a really awesome story. You described it on our year-end 2017 movie, the top 10 list. That's the longest description of that pod name ever. As a gay story without the self-loathing, which is a perfect description of it. And I would almost say just this movie is more about an exploration of self more than anything. Um, and unashamed like feelings. Even though I think the points that are the most uh, unashamed, or the moments that come from the unashamed moments, are moments that come from immense shame and doubt in oneself. It was just a really brilliant movie, and I don't know what's gonna win Best Adapted Screenplay, but if this one won, I would not hate it. Fucking the end where Michael Stolberg is talking with Elio, Timothy Chalamet, and that speech he gives him about like losing piece of yourself has been like sitting with me legit since I saw it. It's just it's a striking movie. Jump off from that.
Yeah, if Stolberg had a bigger role in the movie, he would have got a Best Supporting Actor nomination, because I mean that speech is, that's the awards reel, that's the moneymaker. And I think that speech is actually really important to the movie, because it kind of, I won't say dumbs down, but it kind of like spells out what the movie means if you hadn't picked up on it,
right,
from everything before the speech happens. So it kind of Amanda Dobbins described it as like there's the people that like Call Me by Your Name, and the people that liked it once they had heard the speech,
right?
Which I think is a really interesting way to think about how people process a movie.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's I think it's just the intimacy of the story is so it's just so endearing, has such a tender touch to it. I mean, the location shooting in Italy, obviously Luca Guadagnino, that's is where he's from. But it really shows and it really stands out that the movie has its own visual palette, and it just really, I mean, the location, that house, everything just really fits together. And I mean, Chalamet, he's the youngest Best Actor nominee since fucking Mickey Rooney, man. It's well deserved.
Yeah, that's a fucking crazy stat. It's like Boogie Cousins being the first person to put up a 40, 20, 10, 4, 1 stat line since Chamberlain. It's like, that's just insane, dude. I think the moments that stick with me the most are just like these simple ones, like Armie Hammer dancing on the dance floor and Timothy Chalamet being so like not wanting to, and then finally going out there and just like losing themselves in music. Like them running around the streets of where did they go? Like Rome, was it before they?
Yeah, out of town. Where I forgot where they got. Yeah. Was it France?
It might have been France. I don't remember. Like just so many like little moments like that, and just like the subtleness of the story, like the way it came together, where they hated each other, like slowly warmed up to each other, like tested each other in different ways. Just it blew me away, to be honest. And the more I've sat with it, the more I've appreciated parts of it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a movie that you can think about it forever.
Amira Kazar as Mrs. Perlman too was just wonderful, and like she, I think, has almost a more subtle performance than anyone else in the movie. And I left feeling like wanting to know more about like how her and Michael Stolberg's character felt. Like I want to know more about their perspective and their realization, but it's almost like better that we don't find that out. Keep it about the story. That scene at the end though, where he's just staring into the fire as the credits roll, fucking moving, dude.
So I don't think I caught this when I watched it, but he looks at the camera at the very end. I've seen it in GIF form, and the way it's described is like it's like the 5 stages of grief. Like you see like every emotion that Elio's feeling when he looks at the camera. Like it's fucking amazing. And so even though Chalamet isn't the front runner for Best Actor, obviously Oldman's won all the other awards so far. I have no doubt that this performance will resonate much longer than Oldman's Churchill.
Yeah, we're going to be talking Oscar noms here in a second. I'm so fucking tired of people playing historical actors and winning these categories. I mean, I understand it, and I get there's a technical piece to it that I think is hard to compare to a fictional character. But with a fictional character, you're really creating this person. With a historical character, you're either giving your twist or you're mimicking, which is there's a difficulty to both. But like I feel like with what Chalamet did, and I haven't seen the Oldman movie yet, Darkest Hour. I can't imagine a performance sitting with me longer than Chalamet. And I don't think Winston Churchill's going to do that for me. I don't know.
Right.
Does he do it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you want. I mean, and also to Ullman's credit, Chalamet is, doing a character that's in a book. It is an adapted screenplay after all, so it's not totally original. But yeah, no, Ullman's character is just like the whole movie is just a vehicle for his performance for Winston Churchill. That it's just a physical. It's very Lincoln-esque. Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln. It's like that. And it's I mean, Meryl Streep won for The Iron Lady, very similar feel than The King's Speech with Colin Firth. These movies, they all have kind of that similar vibe. But I think Darkest Hour in particular, because the cinematography, because the movie takes place indoors, underground a lot, it actually kind of accentuates the performance. But yeah, no, it is interesting just because it's two very conflicting types of performances, as well as two different types of actors. A great actor who's been at it a long time and whose time is here kind of deal, versus the young stud who's going to be the next big thing for 20 years,
Yep.
So it's fascinating.
Also in that final scene, and throughout the movie, the music was great. I mean, they pulled out the psychedelic furs for those dance scenes, which is fucking great.
Did you like the Sufjan Stevens songs?
That's what I was going to say. Sufjan Stevens also getting the Academy nomination for, was it Best Original Score or Best Original Song?
Yep. Saw Mystery of Love. Yep. One of the two songs he did for the movie.
Crazy. So, yeah, I thought the music was fantastic. Luca Guadagnino. I want to see more of his stuff now. I think that was the first movie of his I've seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of them are actually in English. I think a lot of them are Italian, from what I know.
He made the last one he made was in 2015. They had Ray Fiennes and Tilda Swinton in it. So I definitely want to check that one out, because I saw this clip of Ray Fiennes dancing in that one, which was way better than Armie Hammer. So definitely gonna check it out. Yeah, well, why don't we move on to the Oscar noms? I'm very happy with the Oscar noms. What about you?
Agreed. Yeah. So the noms came out around like 8:20 Eastern time. So Tiffany Haddish and Andy Serkis were doing this at like 5 a.m. West Coast time in LA, which is shout out The Grind for that. I respect it. But yeah, I mean, so I was still at home, and I had a tweet ready in case Stolberg pulled something off, which he did. So I was like ready to fire that off, but I was just blown away that not only there was nothing egregious happening, but that Phantom Thread, fucking 11th hour nominations for got 6 nominations. No one saw this fucking coming. It's awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, I was actually, maybe a place to start. It's a question I had, and I actually wanted to hear your opinion. Oldman's cleaned up for his performance. This is Daniel Day-Lewis's final performance as an actor, and he's what, won 3, 4?
He's the only actor to win 3 Best Actors.
Do you think he could upset Oldman in this category?
Probably not, but the odds are better than they were yesterday.
Yeah.
Because now we have the voting period. It's 35 days. According to Vulture, a lot of people they talked to, the last movie voters saw was Phantom Thread. It's fresh in people's mind. The Daily Beast article is in people's minds regarding Oldman's past. So I think if James Franco cannot even get nominated for Best Actor when allegations come out at the very end of the nomination voting period, I think it's possible that Oldman loses support. But I don't think it's going to be DDL that beats him. If anyone, it would probably be Chalamet. Yeah,
it's crazy because I could see DDL possibly getting that like Lifetime Achievement Award type thing, but I hope it goes to Chalamet, if anything, but I think it will probably end up being Oldman. Not as white this year, man. Get Out, I think, was the thing I was happiest about in these nominations. Not only getting a Best Picture nomination, but a Best Director and a Best Actor for Daniel Kaluuya. Man, you saw this, this weekend? Give us your
I did.
Give us your review.
I thought it was like a real horror movie. It wasn't a horror movie. Like, I don't know why I got myself so like hyped up about being spooked by it. Like, I thought it was gonna be like it, you know. But no, I loved it. Get Out's great. There's a great piece by Cam Collins on The Ringer called "The Movie Essay We Need Right Now," which I think really captures the importance of Get Out. Right now.
Yep.
But yeah, I loved it. I brought it to number 9 on my top 10, and I have Phantom Thread at number 8. And I actually threw up my list on my Medium blog. But yeah, so I my two late entries to the top 10 post pod. But yeah, Get Out. Great to see here. It had a Directors Guild nom for Best Picture, so the Best Picture Oscar was probably safe. But it's great to see Jordan Peele get the Best Director, as well as Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, because they were both ridiculously passed over by the Globes and the BAFTAs. But again, it shows who really matters, whose opinion really matters, which is the Academies.
Yeah, and that entire category, I think, is a sign of the Academy being very aware this year and trying to get things right, and also just trying to be more diverse. We have Christopher Nolan and Paul Thomas Anderson in there for Dunkirk and Phantom Thread, respectively. But then you have Jordan Peele, Greta Gerwig, and Guillermo del Toro. So a lot of diversity. And The Shape of Water, man, 13 nominations. I did not expect it to be the most nominated movie of the year, but I guess in retrospect, it makes a lot of sense. That movie pretty much checks a lot of the boxes that Oscar voters look for.
Yeah, I mean, Del Toro is almost assuredly going to win Best Director because Paul Thomas Anderson got into Best Director. No one on Gold Derby, the expert predicting site, had thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, they thought it was going to be McDonough, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, 3 Billboards, like it or hate it, and many people hate it, has been the co-favorite with Shape of Water this whole season. Mm. But the fact that McDonough got passed over in the category makes it's like what happened with Ben Affleck with Argo. Argo still won Best Picture, but Affleck wasn't even nominated for Best Director. So that's I think that's equally surprising. But yeah, Shape of Water in the end is the most nominated film. I think, I had it 15th. I don't love it as much as a lot of these other ones, but I mean, it doesn't. None of this bothers me. I think that's my overall takeaway. Is we all have our preferences with these top Oscar movies, but overall, I think they got most of it right.
Yeah, were there any notable snubs for you? Obviously, McDonough might be one. I think Hank's not getting a Best Actor and was one that was surprising, but I don't think anyone's thinks it's egregious per se.
Right. So I actually got into my nomination thinking on my blog as well, but Best Actor is low key a boring ass race. We have actually all 4 acting categories. We can get into this. Have a clear top 2, a clear front runner, and then a clear runner up. Right. Best Actor, Old Man Chalamet, as we've said, an easy third. Daniel Day-Lewis, we knew he would get nominated. Daniel Kaluuya, probably a safe 4th. The 5th spot was up for grabs with the Franco, LA Times piece coming out, and Franco didn't get in, and it was either going to be Denzel Washington or Tom Hanks. There's really no one else in the mix. Unfortunately, Robert Pattinson was not, buzzworthy enough for Good Time. I would have loved to see him get in, but obviously that wasn't happening. And yeah, Denzel Washington, he gets in for Roman J. Israel, a fall movie that did not make a big impact, was not that well received. But people love Denzel. He continues his record as the most nominated Black actor with 8. Mm-hmm. But obviously he won't win. But him or Hanks, it doesn't matter because it's for last place. I actually probably think that of those 3, Franco probably still was the most deserving for a performance.
Mm-hmm. And then what actress? You probably have McDormand and Ronan in that order.
Yep, of course. 2. And then Sally Hawkins was a clear safe 3rd. Margot Robbie has really built herself up. The Academy, the biggest part of the Academy is actors. They like the performance, so her getting it makes sense. And the 5th spot was probably going to be Meryl Streep the whole time. She did get it. Michelle Williams was great, all the money in the world, but Jessica Chastain, wasn't able to sneak in there. So I think that was a pretty safe, pretty chalk 5 for Best Actress as well. And Judi Dench had the SAG nomination, so she may have been in the mix, but that 5 was, I think, pretty easy. And then, the other 2 supporting as well. Allison Janney and Laurie Metcalf, the big 2. Sam Rockwell, Willem Dafoe, the big 2. Then Mary J. Blige for Mudbound. which makes her the first actor nominated for a film directed by a person of color, which is fucking mind-boggling. But that's apparently that's a first for us. Then Octavia Spencer. See, this is actually kind of weird because Octavia Spencer for Shape of Water. I don't know about you, but I thought that role was way too small.
I was kind of shocked when I saw her up there. I mean, I thought she was good in the movie, but I didn't think that much.
Right, and the conventional thinking was that she was probably vying for the 5th spot. We assumed like the middle spot was safely Holly Hunter from The Big Sick. She'd been getting nominated all season, but she got bounced for Leslie Manville from Phantom Thread, who's great, a very well deserving choice. Again, we just didn't see that coming because we didn't think Phantom Thread had a chance. But so Spencer ended up getting bumped even further in. So I mean, that was kind of strange. I'm not the biggest Big Sick guy myself, but I thought Hunter was easily going to make it. Hong Chow from Downsizing, Tiffany Haddish people would have loved that. Even Alice Williams from Get Out, but I thought Holly Hunter was going to get in.
Yeah, but I think before we really dug into that, the technical awards are almost more interesting than the Best Picture or the acting awards. I'm so much more excited to see like who comes away of, like, for example, adapted screenplay. Like, I think that category is stacked.
Oh, it's stacked. It's stacked.
Unbelievable.
It's definitely skewed. Great for Netflix. Seeing Mudbound get in there. Disaster Artist and Call Me by Your Name are the favorites in the category, and then Aaron Sorkin's Pen Game. We knew Molly's Game was going to get it, but Logan, man, number 5, which is awesome.
So awesome, dude. I was pumped to see that. That movie really resonates, and if you want to hear our takes, go back and listen to our end of year list. Cinematography, another category, which, I mean, you think you see Blade Runner in there and you're like, that movie is incredible. You see Dunkirk, you're like, some of the shots in that were unbelievable. Mudbound, like, another movie that's unbelievable, and Shape of Water, which I think is nominated in literally almost every category. Technical stuff. It was just
let's hope Deakins finally gets his win. I think it's between him or Dunkirk. But shout out Rachel Morrison for Mudbound, the first woman of color nominated for Best Cinematography.
So awesome, dude.
And it's interesting if you look at the 2 screenplay categories, then you compare it to Best Picture, it'll tell you who are like the true favorites for Best Picture. So like The Post and Phantom Thread did not get screenplay nominations, nor were they really expected to. So that shows you there were 9 Best Picture nominees out of possible 10. But I mean, realistically, there's the top 2, Billboards and Shape of Water, and a few other wild cards, and the other guys, they're just happy to be there. But it's a really solid slate of noms, no doubt.
Yeah, Baby Driver too, getting a lot of technical nominations. So shout out to our man Elgort, proving us wrong.
Yeah, the way I put it on my blog was a surprisingly competent Ansel Elgort performance, which I think is I don't think I could say it any other way. How do you feel about Wonder Woman getting totally shut out? No down ballot, no technical awards.
Yeah, we talked about it on the year end. That movie means more in the sense of like what it stands for than actually like any technical or acting or performances in it. So it's a movie that's bigger than its parts.
Right, and I mean, none of the technical awards categories really stand out for Wonder Woman, right? No. And again, you look at the field; it was a competitive race for all those categories. So they also didn't truly campaign for Wonder Woman that way. I mean, people were like, "Oh, maybe they'll sneak in for Best Picture," but you can't get a Best Picture nom unless you're going to get some, a down ballot stuff like the way Mad Max Fury Road got all those nominations. So it was probably a wishful thinking to think it would happen.
But just an awesome year for movies, I think, is my takeaway, because like I'm looking through and it's just like one after the other. Even visual effects, which has movies that we didn't talk about as like best movies of the year: Guardians of the Galaxy, Kong Skull Island, War for Planet of the Apes. Those are decent, like mid-tier movies for the year that had really wonderful parts of it. So just shout out 2017 is a great year for movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. I think so. Last year, remember Suicide Squad? Both was nominated and won for, I believe, makeup. Right, just a bad movie that got an Oscar. Got our attention.
Or what did it say? Broken or something like that?
Damaged.
Damaged. Right? That's what it was. Oh my god.
This year, The Boss Baby was nominated for Best Animated Feature.
I know, I saw that.
The Globes did it too. Honestly, don't really get that because they're anime movies. The Oscars have nominated tons of anime movies in the past.
Right.
You could nominate Your Name. People love that movie. That's an interesting one. But again, it's such a minor thing. It doesn't matter at all because Coco's going to win anyway.
That's like the no doubt category for sure.
But yeah, that is you bet your house on that basically, and you win your house in like a shed. Obviously the return isn't good.
Right.
But yeah, the biggest lock for sure.
Yeah, we have a long wait because I think they pushed it back because of the Olympics, I believe.
Correct. It's the first Sunday in March.
So we got a lot of time before we'll be talking about it, but we'll be giving our picks before it comes out. So stay tuned to Nowstalgia Pod and give us feedback at Martin Swagger, at Sheening World Peace, and at Nowstalgia Pod. Give us your thoughts on any nominations or snubs, anything that stood out to you, or if you have takes on American Crime Story, Call Me by Your Name. We'd love to hear them. Any last thoughts for the week, Dave?
Yeah. Culture 2 from Migos. We said it was supposed to be coming soon, and right after we recorded, they put out the date. It's this Friday.
Superstars.
2 singles out. A lot of big famous producers publicized already. So we'll be talking about Migos along probably some other movies, some other stuff next week.
TV, I think. You've finished The End of the Fucking World.
Yep.
I finished Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things to pick and choose from. Your boy Dave finally listened to that Charlie XCX. Was it a mixtape from last year is what she called it, even though it was really an album?
Yes.
And you said it was good.
Charlie XCX had 2 mixtapes in 2017, and they're both really good. Especially the first one. So my hot take I was spreading around was that Charlie XCX is better than Halsey, and I stand by that.
Well, Dave, you'll get to see Halsey this year because she's playing the same day Travis Scott's playing at Governor's Ball. So enjoy that.
That she is. I already copped that ticket. I'm curious to see who Halsey goes against as the second line because the Gaslight Anthem is there.
Probably be them.
It's interesting.
I can't imagine that crowd would overlap a lot. Anyone that wants to see Gaslight Anthem is not going to go see Halsey.
But who's going against Travis? It's a weird card.
Probably like Post. No, they wouldn't put Post Malone against them. That would.
No, he's not that day. They already have the day-by-day breakdown. That's why I'm asking. That's why I already bought my ticket.
I thought Post Malone was that day.
Post Malone's Friday.
Okay. Well, I'd have to take a closer look. I don't know, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm considering Friday. I think I told you. Jack White and the AES together. Probably gonna be worth it for me. But we'll be talking about music festivals, I guess, if it's necessary or if anything shakes up. But for all your content, go to soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod. Subscribe on YouTube somewhere below us. Spread the word. We need growth. Help us grow and become a better and bigger podcast moving forward to give you all the content you want. Until next week, we'll be talking about Migos. Peace out.